Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to StarCraft 2 Strategy. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Terran strategy. Now the Terran player in this particular replay is Poker Off Cause, and our Zerg opponent is Lelouch. Both are very strong players, Lelouch being touted as one of the best Zerg players around, in fact. Now we're going to go ahead and go straight into Poker Vision, because again this is a Terran strategy. Now basically what we're going to be looking at in this strategy replay today is going for that Fast Reaper, which has been very popular nowadays versus Zerg opponents, and then transitioning into the strength of Marine, Marauder, and Medevac. That MMM ball is a very strong unit composition. It's been very strong throughout StarCraft 2. Hasn't really encountered too much resistance, in fact. There are, of course, specific unit compositions, for example, as Protoss going for Colossi or going for High Templar, and as Zerg going for kind of a Roach, Zergling, and Hydralisk build. Both do a pretty good job of it, but really the strength of that Marine, Marauder, Medevac ball is just overpowering for most builds. So yeah, we're going to be starting off with those Fast Reapers and then transitioning into MMM. Starting off with our 10 supply depot, as is per the usual for Terran players, and then we're going to go ahead and drop our 12 barracks after that. After we start building our barracks, about midway through, we're going to start dropping our refinery, and that usually comes at 13 supply, and there it is, that refinery at 13 supply. Now, as you can see, our Zerg opponent is moving into our base at this point. Really important that you try to keep this SCV alive. That's the last thing you want, is to lose an SCV, and also it's going to stop the production of your barracks, or any building you happen to be making at that point. So it's not a bad idea to try to keep an SCV on attack position, following it around, at least for the time while it's threatening the building SCV. Now at this point, now that this building's just about done, you don't have to worry about it too much. And then after we're done with this barracks, we are of course going to move out with the SCV to do some scouting. Now it's kind of up to you when you choose to move out with scouting. Some players move out right after they drop their supply depot at 10, and some people choose to move out after the barracks. You don't really want to move out too much later than that, because you're going to be missing out on vital early game scouting information. I would say the only thing that you're going to miss out on moving out after the barracks, as opposed to moving out after you built the supply depot, is that you may not see in time if you're going to be getting 6 pool rushed. But I guess typically that doesn't really happen in these high-level games, so they don't really worry about that too much. But you yourself, maybe in the mid to low level range, when it comes to the leagues, you may want to move out after that 10 supply depot to check for that 6 pool rush. So as you can see, the Zerg opponent here did build an extractor in our base. We want to make sure we get rid of that. It's going to obviously stop us from putting a refinery down ourselves, but also it's going to allow them to have vision and see what's going on inside of our base, and we of course want to prevent that. Now going for an interesting wall off here, instead of pushing up the supply depot, actually dropping the barracks and waiting till we get that attachment to drop this down. Now you're going to see here why that can be a problem, because our Zerg opponent in fact does end up moving Zerglings into our base because we didn't have the full wall off early in the game. Now again, this won't be really much of an issue if they don't hit you super early, but if they do, as you can see here, they're just going to waltz right into your base. So you may want to possibly push up this supply depot one spot, and then move the barracks up a little bit, and then attach put the attachment down after the fact, and try to make sure you block off that space. I'm going to say that our Terran player here just didn't realize that there was that slight space, because it looks like it may be blocked off. But as you can see, it can be incredibly annoying. He's in our mineral line. He was attacking some of our SCVs and just kind of being a pain in the butt, and we're definitely not a fan of that. So again, we did drop that second barracks there. We do have our first Reaper out, and again, as I said earlier, we're going for that Fast Reaper, and then afterwards transitioning into Marine, Marauder, Medevac. So we have 2 barracks up right now, second tech lab being attached. We have 2 more barracks coming out, and those of course are going to be getting tech labs as well. In fact, one of our barracks we're actually going to be attaching a reactor to for those Marines for that MMM ball later on in the game. Something I want to note, that the more important aspect of what we're going to be looking at today is going for that really strong aggression in this game. You really want to make sure you stay aggressive and continue to stay aggressive. You become aggressive and continue to stay aggressive. Because if you fall back and if you go into a defensive position, it's really going to allow your Zerg opponent to expand fast, mass expand, and take an economic advantage over you. And that's not a position you want to be in. You want to keep up the aggression, you want to harass them as much as possible. Reapers being an excellent harassment tool, so take advantage of that fact. Go in their base, pick off any Zerglings, pick off any workers you see, poke at some buildings, do everything you can to be a huge pain in the butt, basically. Now we do have that speed upgrade research, and that is pretty vital to this harassment, because once they get their speed Zerglings, if you don't have the speed yourself for your Reapers, then they're just going to surround you no problem and take out your Reapers very quickly. But you do have a chance of getting away with the speed upgrade for the Reapers. Now the speed Zerglings are slightly faster, but again, it's just about kind of just trying to find some ledges and make sure you stay close to the ledges so that you don't get surrounded by those Zerglings. So we're amassing up a little small task force here of Reapers. We're going to move out to do some harassment. Take a look back at our base. We are preparing for that transition here. We are, of course, getting these Marines and Marauders now. We're also going to be researching some of their upgrades as well. We're going to be getting Concussive Shell at some point in the near future. Now, taking a look back at his base, again, we're keeping up the harassment, like I said. We're taking advantage of the fact that he started pushing out with his roaches, as you just saw at the front of our base. And since he did that, we know that his base is going to be pretty defenseless because his units are in front of our base. So we're going to take advantage of that opportunity and go and do some harassment ourselves. As you can see, that was a huge, devastating blow, in fact. Maybe I didn't emphasize it with quite enough excitement in my voice, but taking out that expansion is gigantic. That's really, really big. So we took advantage of the fact that our Zerg opponent tried to play aggressively and tried to push out on us, and we just used that mobility of the Reaper, their ability to jump up and down cliffs as they're happily doing there, and we used that ability to harass their base while they were outside of it. So there you go. Definitely a good example of what you can be doing. Now again, we're going for that Marine Marauder medevac ball, so we built a factory. We had dropped down a factory, and this build order, again, will be in the description of the video. And then we dropped a Starport. We need a Starport to start getting some medevacs out, so that will happen shortly after. But the most important part is that we really bolster up our Marine and Marauder army. Again, he has responded with roaches to the fact that we're getting these Reapers, and that's going to be good for us because Marauders are very, very strong versus roaches. As you can see there, he is upgrading his hatchery to a layer, so now we have to start considering possible layer tech. We have to worry about the possibility of him going for Hydralisk, as well as the possibility of him going for something like Mutalisk. So we're going to keep an eye out on them. We just want to make sure we pay attention to what's going on after this point. We do have a little bit of time because that layer isn't finished building, so maybe within the next couple of minutes we're going to check his base again, either by moving in with Reapers or doing another scan, just to see what he intends on doing. So as you can see, we're pushing forward here. We do have these upgrades coming up, the Concussive Shell and the Stim Pack, and we also have support units moving in. Now we're taking advantage of that short range of the Roach by moving back, shooting, and then moving back again. This is going to basically drastically cut down on the amount of fires that these roaches get off, because these roaches do only have a range of 3 as opposed to the range of 6 that we have on our Marauders. So take advantage of that the best you can. Move back, shoot, and again, that's going to cut back drastically on the amount of attacks that you get from those roaches. We do again have this expansion up here. We took advantage of our aggressive playstyle and the fact that we destroyed their expansion by moving out and expanding ourselves. We don't want to fall behind in economy, especially if we know that they intend on expanding. And of course we don't want to run out of minerals at any point, so we do need to make sure that we get some expansions up ourselves. Additional barracks coming because we're continuing to push out with this Marine Marauder medevac build. We do have this reactor on this particular barracks that's going to help with our Marine production, and then using all these barracks with tech labs going to be pumping out Marauders as well. Now we do have our first medevac up on the board. This is going to be incredibly beneficial to us. Even that light amount of healing is really going to help inside of combat, but more importantly it helps out of combat. When you're basically sitting around and you're waiting to engage again, it's going to top off all your units so that you don't go into a battle with half health units. So pushing forward, doing incredible amounts of damage. Again, this just goes to show you the strength of that Marine Marauder medevac build, especially with Stim Pack and Concussive Shell upgrades halved by your units. Moving forward, we're going to be taking out his buildings pretty quickly, going to be doing as much damage as we can to his economy. That's really the main thing that you want to hit, is their economy, because if they don't have enough resources, if they don't have enough minerals and Vespian gas, then they're not going to be able to create anything. And here we go, we have some additional medevacs here in the mix. Again, this is going to help with our units, going to help top them off and basically nullify all damage dealt by our Zerg opponent. And as you can see, this push was very successful. This strategy and this unit composition was a great success. It was a great success. I don't know if you guys ever saw Borat. It's pretty funny stuff. So yeah, taking a look back here at the base, we're going to take another look at that build order. We started off with that 10 supply depot, followed it up with a 12 barracks. While the barracks was building at 13 supply, we dropped our refinery. Now once that barracks was done building, we got a marine to fend off any early game scouts, such as that drone that was in our base. Also, we needed to destroy that extractor that he had placed on our Vespian geyser. So after that marine came out, we of course did attach a tech lab and we dropped the second barracks here. Now we didn't complete that wall off, and he did manage to get some Zerglings into our base. Again, that's something you want to take note of. Maybe possibly you just want to put the supply depot up here, put that second barracks there, and then once that barracks is done building, you've had this wall off that entire time, so you don't have to worry about an early push. Then maybe lift it off and drop it behind the supply depot, so you still have that block, but you don't have to worry about having that space in between while that barracks is still building. Now after that, again, we started basically just building more barracks with some reactors on them. We started massing out Reapers, and we did as much harass as possible. We stayed aggressive, and more importantly, when he pushed out on us with his roaches, we took advantage of our wall off with having a few Marauders and Marines behind it to fend off any roaches that would push up and attack. We took advantage of the fact that he was out by staying aggressive, moving our Reapers into his base, and we ended up killing off his natural expansion. And then again, we're just continuously producing Marines and Marauders. We're getting their upgrades with that stim pack, that combat shield, and that concussive shell, then transitioning into getting some medevacs and just using the strength of that mix, that Marine Marauder medevac ball, to take out our opponent. So again, guys, this has been 4 StarCraft 2 strategy. If you like our videos and you like what you see here, please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Keep watching and keep owning, guys. Now we're moving forward with the battlecruiser. The battlecruiser, pound for pound, being one of the strongest units in the game. This is really what's going to make this strategy effective if you can pull it off, and if, again, you can hide your tech. When he starts to get too low, definitely want to make sure you micro him back a little bit, and that your SCVs are in fact repairing the battlecruiser.